Hello everyone, let's start. Today we are going to see the multiple transformations. Okay? So already we have discussed about the multiple transformations. Because in 2D transformation we have already seen the combined transformation, right? So what we are doing in the combined transformation? We are applying the multiple transformations on a single object, right? So that's the same thing we are going to do in the multiple transformation. Fine. Means what? We'll have one single object. On that single object we are going to perform the multiple transformations. Like for example, we'll have one object and we want to perform the scaling or rotation with respect to some specific axis, right? So at that time what we need to do? We need to find out the origin of that object, then we need to reverse translation we need to perform, so that we'll bring that object to the origin, and then we'll perform the transformations and all. We have seen all these stuffs, right? So multiple transformations will be done by performing the matrix multiplication of the different transformations. Okay? So now in the multiple transformation we have one point called the rotation about an axis parallel to coordinated axis, right? Okay? Means what? In 3D what we'll have, let's say we'll have this one y-axis, x-axis, and then let's say we'll have the z-axis. Fine. So now here let's say we'll have one object. Fine. This is one object which we have seen in the last time. I'll try to make it in a 3D way. Okay. Fine. So see, this is the object we'll have, and now we want to perform the rotation, right? Fine. So now this is our object, and the thing is what? Rotation about an axis parallel to coordinate axis. Means what? See, now this is our x-axis, this is our y-axis, and this is our z-axis. So now these are the standard 3D axis. Fine. So now what is mean by the rotation about an axis parallel to the coordinated axis? Means what? We'll have this object, right? So on this object also we'll have the local coordinates. Fine. So there will be some local coordinates like this. See, this is x-axis, y-axis, and this is the z-axis. Fine. So let's say this is our x dash, this is our y dash, and this is our z dash. Fine. Means what? We'll have this object. So each object has its local coordinates. Fine. So now the thing is what actually we are expecting here. So now we want to perform the rotation of this object. Fine. We want to perform the rotation of this object with respect to these points, right? So now here if you'll see, this axis, local axis, are parallel to this axis, right? So this y-axis is parallel to y dash, this x-axis is parallel to the x dash, and z-axis is parallel to this z dash. Fine. So now here we need to perform the rotation. Fine. With respect to this point. So what we have done this type of problem in 2D. So here this is our origin and this is our local origin, or we can call it as a object's origin, right? So first what we have done, we need to translate this object to our origin, right? So that it should be the parallel to our system, right? So then we are going to perform the rotation, and then we are going to translate it back, right? So we have seen these three steps. So let's see how we are going to do this. So let's see, we'll have this one object, fine. So first what we need to do, we need to put it here, right? And then what we need to do, we need to perform the rotation, right? And then again come back to its original position, right? So these are the steps, right? Are you getting my point? So now if he wants to perform this type of operations, then what we are expecting then? So first, what we need to do, translate the body until the local axis coincident with the coordinated axis, right? What we need to do, the first step, is what? Translate the body until the local axis coincident with coordinated axis, fine. So this is our first step, means what? We need to translate. Now we have seen that first what we have done, we have done the translation of that particular object, right? We can call it as a body or object, okay? Until the local axis is coincident with the coordinated axis, right? Means what? We are translating this object, right? We are translating this object to this line, fine. This is what we have done. That is our first step, right? Then what? We need to perform the second. What is the second step then? Second step, yes. In this second step, we are going to perform the rotation of an object with a specified axis. Rotation of any object with specified axis. It means let's do the rotation with respect to any one axis, right? Either you can do it by the x-axis or y-axis or z-axis, right? We have seen this in the rotation, fine. So while performing the rotation, either we can do it with x-axis or y-axis or z-axis, fine. So either of these three, we are going to perform the any one type of rotation, right? After translating it to the coincident with the coordinated axis, right? Then what we are going to do? What is the third step? Our third step is what we are going to do here after we have done the rotation, right? So now we have done the rotation. So after rotation has been completed, rotation एक बार हो गया, then what we'll do? We'll translate the body back to its original position, right? What will perform? Translate, let the object back at its original position, right? Means perform reverse ट्रांसलेशन. फाइन, राइट? मतलब कैसे कर रहे थे हम? द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज व्हाट? ट्रांसलेट दिस, राइट, कोइंसिडेंट विद द कोऑर्डिनेटेड एक्सिस, ये किया हमने. देन व्हाट विल डू? विल परफॉर्म द रोटेशन, राइट? देखो हमने विल परफॉर्म द रोटेशन, एक बार रोटेशन कर दिया, देन परफॉर्म द रिवर्स ट्रांसलेशन. Fine. So after performing this operation, this is what our object look like, right? So if you are done with respect to the x axis or y axis, ठीक है, तो उस हिसाब से होगा वो. लेट्स से कि ट्रांसलेट हियर, देन परफॉर्म द रोटेशन, तो ये ऑब्जेक्ट आ जाएगा यहाँ पे, अदरवाइज ये आ जाएगा यहाँ पे, अदरवाइज ये आएगा यहाँ पे. So how, on which basis it is going to be decided? It is going to be decided with respect to x-axis, y-axis or z-axis, right? Are you getting it? So this is what we are going to perform in the rotation about an axis parallel to coordinate axis. Means what? See here, in this example what we have done, we have performed the multiple transformations, right? First what we have done, we have done the translation, right? So multiple transformations कैसे किया हमने? Multiple transformations, right? ये multiple transformation कैसे किया? First what we have done, we have done the translation, right? Translation matrix किया. देन हमने क्या किया? देन वी हैव परफॉर्म दी रोटेशन मैट्रिक्स, राइट? देन व्हाट वी हैव डन? रिवर्स ट्रांसलेशन, राइट? सो दीज आर द थ्री मैट्रिक्स, राइट? These are the three matrices we need to perform. Means we need to perform the matrix multiplication of these three transformations. Then it becomes the multiple transformation. Fine. So this is what we are going to perform in multiple transformation. So in this way we can perform the any type of operations. It means we can combine any type of transformations in a multiple transformation. So this is what we have done, rotation about an axis parallel to coordinate axis.